Good morning and welcome to the last day of Mets Connect Me. This year Mets Trade has been cancelled. That's why we decided to bring Mets to you, online.
We started last Thursday and will continue till this afternoon. Each day we broadcast 2 live sessions, one at 11 in the morning and one at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. My name is Dianne van Mun.
And my name is Marianne de Groes, and we are your hosts for Mets Connect Me.
Smart Battery Hub, the latest from BEP Marine, is the title of online session number 9. And for the second time, we are connected with the Auckland headquarters in New Zealand, where we have a live connection with Jeffrey Morris. Hello, Jeffrey, and welcome in our show. Here in Amsterdam,
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hello. Here in Amsterdam, it's 11 o'clock in the morning, but I believe you have already been through a long day. Are you still fresh enough to present?
Yes, I'll certainly do my best.
Well, that sounds good. Smart Battery Hub, Jeffrey. How smart are we going to get?
Hopefully very smart. It's the smartest product that BEP has done so far, coming up on par with a lot of the other C-Zone technology that comes out of the Auckland office.
Okay, that sounds promising. Thank you for now, and we will see you in a few minutes for your presentation. Even though you can't be here with us in person, we still like to interact with the public. If you look on your screen, on your right, you can see the Q&A. There you can fill in as many questions as you like, and after the show, our experts are more than ready to answer them.
But first, it's time for... This is Brain Trainer, and the question of today is, what is the fast-moving BEP product in EMEA? To make it more difficult, we added an additional question. How many items were sold in the past year?
And at the end of the show, we will tell you who the winner is. But now it is time for the Smart Battery Hub from the latest from BEP Marine. A shorter presentation of 20 minutes this time, because we focus on this product only. Here is Jeffrey, your presenter.
Hi, Jeff Morris here. I'm a product manager at BEP in New Zealand, and today I'm here to talk to you about the Smart Battery Hub, which is BEP's latest product that we're going to be releasing. So the BEP Smart Battery Hub is our all-in-one battery management system. So it's designed to simplify battery management with remotely activated switches, automatic voltage-sensitive switching, and emergency parallel functionality. So all enclosed in a robust, easy-to-install, ignition-protected IPX7 enclosure. So the Smart Battery Hub monitors and transmits battery voltages and full house battery state of charge over NEMA 2000 for integration with multifunction displays. So the top 5 features of the Smart Battery Hub is it's an all-in-one battery monitoring and management system in a robust IPX7 ignition protected enclosure. Remotely activated battery switches over NEMA 2000 or physically wired switch inputs. Has dual direction voltage sensitive switching, remotely operated emergency parallel switches, and of course manual override for all switches for safety and servicing. So it's available in twin or triple engine configurations, remotely operated magnetic latching switches, remotely operated emergency parallel switches, and configurable dual direction voltage sensitive switches with configurable thresholds. It has battery voltage monitoring on all batteries and full state of charge monitoring for the house bank. It also has 2 additional sensor inputs, safety manual override for all battery switches. It's available for 12 or 20 volt 4-volt systems, so it will automatically measure the voltage and select the right voltage to use. It can't be used in mixed voltage situations yet, but coming soon after our initial release, we'll have one available that can have a 24 volt house and 12 volt start, or 24 volt start and 12 volt house. You can parallel 2 units together for 4, 5 and even 6 engine installations. So the unique features of the Smart Battery Hub is its reduced installation complexity, designed to minimise battery cable lengths and simplify installations for boat builders. All cable connections come in from one side, so we now don't need to have multiple cables coming in from each side of the battery switch, and all connections and harnessing is from one side from the bottom. So it's a large reduction in installation footprint compared to the standardised products that you would usually be installing in this situation. Magnetic latching 300 amp interrupt switching technology, so this can be used as an interrupt switch, not just in isolation. Has ultra low power consumption with manual and automatic sleep states. NEMA 2000 compatible. We've also introduced out of the box plug and play configurations for standalone systems. It works with C-Zone and it has 24-hour house output with current monitoring for state of charge monitoring and calculations. So the manual override we have on the Smart Battery Hub is we've got remotely operated switches, but we also have physical manual override on all of the switches for safety and maintenance situations. So the 3 engine battery switches can be manually overridden to on or off, as can the house battery and also the emergency parallel switches. So for any emergency situations, you can lock the switches on, or you can actually lock them off if you don't want them to accidentally be turned on while you're servicing the boat. So the full features of the Smart Battery Hub is it has 2 or 3 engine starting batteries, 1 house battery and emergency parallel switches, monitoring, all battery voltages, house current draw, house state of charge, and 2 sensor inputs for additional batteries, tanks, or temperatures. Voltage sensitive charging, so configurable voltage sensitive charging and dual direction, as I said earlier. Full mechanical override and a smart power supply where we any battery connected to the product, if it has battery voltage, the processor within the Smart Battery Hub will take power from any battery source available. The sensor inputs can be used for positive or negative switching, 0 to 32 volts, 0 to 1000 ohm resistance, and 4 to 20 milliamp current. The enclosure is very robust. We've done a lot of vibration testing and shock testing on this enclosure, fully IPX7 and ignition protected, and the connections are Deutsch flying leads and micro C NEMA 2000 connections. So the ultra low current draw with the magnetic latching solenoids means no current draw when the when the product is actuating, when the product is in use. The sleep state draws less than 4 milliamps, even when monitoring the house current for a state of charge. An automatic sleep state, so if you forget to put it into sleep with the battery switches turned off, and no CAN voltage on the NEMA 2000 network, after 1 hour it will go into sleep or hibernation and draw that ultra low current state. This product is a battery switch, so we wanted to make sure it didn't drain the batteries when you weren't using the boat. So CAN port, 1 NEMA 2000 micro C connection for output of sensor data, and also C-Zone integration and third-party MFD integration over NEMA 2000. The battery monitoring, as I said, there's monitoring on the 3 engine batteries or the 2 engine batteries on the twin product, and then full battery monitoring on the house battery, including battery temperature with an external temperature sensor that we can supply. Switch inputs, so there's 3 switch inputs connected to it for manual control of the battery switches. They can be configured to control any of the circuits. Configurable functionality, as it works with C-Zone, you could also use those inputs to control other circuits on the C-Zone system. It's designed for push buttons or remote key fob receivers, so you can install one of our BEP key fobs to remotely control this from the dock. It also has 2 monitored fuse outputs, so it has 2 10 amp fuse outputs outside of the Deutsch connector. The fuse is under the fuse cover, and they are also monitored for current draw so that we can keep calculation of the state of charge. So the Smart Battery Hub is very customizable, so you can configure it via the C-Zone configuration tool. So you can write configurations to the system with a USB to CAN adapter, or if you don't have one of those, you can write the configuration to the Smart Battery Hub via a USB connection underneath the fuse cover. So the configuration options is the voltage sensitive switching thresholds. You can turn it on or off to be bidirectional, or you can configure the cut in and out voltages. You can enable or disable the VSS functionality if you don't want the battery hub to automatically switch the batteries in and out. You can also disable the remote emergency parallel feature. The battery chemistry can be set for the state of charge calculation and capacity. Circuit lockout for automatic switching based on sensor inputs. So with it working with C-Zone, you can configure it to operate via modes, or you could have it that if the engine RPN is on NEMA 2000 bus, you can have it not turn off the engine batteries. You can assign each switch input to switch position or function, and assign sensor inputs for volts, fluid temp, or repurpose as additional switch inputs. And the USB port on it can also be used to update C-Zone firmware and configuration settings for the whole C-Zone network simply by plugging it into the smart battery hub that'll go and update everything else on the network. So the voltage sensitive switching, we have bidirectional, meaning that when the engines are running, you can configure the smart battery hub to join the parallels and start charging the house bank. It's pretty standard. BEP have had VSRs for many years, dual directional or bidirectional VSRs. You can configure the smart battery hub to do the same, or you can turn that off. What it does do when it's in dual sense mode is if you have all the battery switches turned off and you're charging the house battery, once the house battery is full, it will click in and charge every starting battery every 20 minutes. So you can configure that to happen or not. There's also a safety lockout feature on the smart battery hub via a dip switch underneath the fuse cover. So if the boat builder does not want any of that automatic functionality to happen, he can set the dip switches to override any software or automatic configurations that would stop those switches from actuating automatically. So we have status indicators on the smart battery hub. We have a power status LED, obviously indicates that the unit is awake. When that LED is not on, it's in its low current draw or sleep mode. When that LED is on, it means that the processor is awake and it's calculating state of charge, and it's also listening for commands to turn on or off. Network status indicates that there's bus power to the NEMA 2000 network, and it flashes when it's receiving or transmitting CAN messages, just like our other C-Zone modules do. And switch status, so every switch has its own status LED indicator that indicates if the switch is on or off, if there's a fault with that switch, if it's in manual override, or it flashes if the voltage sensitive switching is enabled. So the system example, control and monitor NEMA 2000 with C-Zone or compatible multifunction displays. So when it's connected over NEMA 2000 to an MFD, you can get battery voltages, state of charge for the house battery. You configure any temperatures, pressures, or tank levels with the two sensor inputs that it has. You can use up to three physical buttons on the dashboard. So this example that we have here, we have one button for turning all of the engines on and off, one button for turning the house on and off, and then another button to parallel all of the switches together for emergency starting situations. As it works with C-Zone, we can use our waterproof keypad to operate it, or to work with any of our third-party integration partners that we have that communicate over the switchbank PGNs. So the installation options, the two options that we have is the twin and the triple engine configuration. So obviously standard installation for a twin engine is one twin smart battery hub, or a triple engine uses the triple engine smart battery hub. If you want to have 4, 5 or 6 engines, you can easily parallel two of these together, parallel the main 24-hour house stud, so that you don't need to run a house battery cable to each house battery, and it will still calculate the state of charge together. And you can configure it in the configuration options to when you turn whatever button that you want to turn on or off with either through an MFD or through a push button on the dash. You can configure that to turn all of the engines on, or just the ports, or just the starboards. Fully customizable. So the dimensions, we've put a lot of work and a lot of effort into making the footprint on this product as small as possible. It was obviously designed for boat builders where space is a premium, and the footprint and all the cables coming in nice and tidily from one side. So the dimensions, it's about 363 millimeters wide by 275 millimeters high. So on the right of that graphic there, I've got the one-to-one scale of the dimensions of what it's replacing. So on the top, it would be replacing 7 Blue Seas magnetic latching switches and a couple of signal interfaces and meter interface if you wanted all of the functionality. Or the middle view there is the BEP option with a remote driven battery switches and the same signal interface, meter interface, and a shunt, as this has the product has the shunt built into it. So in the box, you'll get the main cover, the fuse cover that's installed on the product. Latches, spare fuse underneath the fuse cover, and all of the features and all of the options that you'll need to install it. We don't send the screws or mounting bolts with it because we don't know what surface you're going to be mounting into, so it'll be up to you to sort out. We'll supply a user manual and a mounting template. There's also 2 spare rubber covers for the studs, so if you don't put any connections onto the 24-hour house output, you can put a blanking cover over it just to protect that stud. The studs are going to be 3/8 UNC connections. Now they've been designed to take 2 120mm back-to-back cables, you can install this on some big diesel applications that draw a lot of current, and like I said, we've designed it to take 2 of those back-to-back battery terminal lugs. So quick overview of the product. So along the bottom obviously is all of the battery studs with the flying leads coming out of it. That extends about 30mm down from the product. We have the Deutsch connector for all of the inputs and outputs, NEMA 2000 Micro C, and we've developed a waterproof battery temperature sensor that was IPX7 rated, and it's connected onto our latest connection that we've designed here. So under the fuse cover we have a function button, 2 10-amp fuses for the current monitored circuits, 2 dip switches, and a USB port. So the function button is used to initiate firmware updates from USB, initiate configuration read-writes from USB. For those of you that are aware of C-Zone, that will make sense to you. Essentially what that does is you can read the configuration from the Smart Battery Hub, take it to the configuration tool, adjust it if necessary, and take it back to the Smart Battery Hub and write it to the network. Means that you don't need to buy or install a USB to CAN adapter to do that. It's also a hardware reset button, as this is a battery switch. If it was to ever get into a locked up state, it's going to be very hard to remove the power from the unit to reset it. So the hardware button, if you hold that down for 10 seconds or so, it'll reset the software and reboot up without needing to disconnect the power. So the 2 10-amp fuses do have blown fuse detection and state of charge monitoring. So if one of those fuses blows, it'll flash a fault, or if it's connected to NEMA 2000 to one of our compatible displays, it'll put that alarm up on the screen. Dip switch 1 is for the safety lockouts of the voltage sensitive switch settings and the emergency parallel. Dip switch 2 is for the C-Zone address if it's connected in the C-Zone system, or if it's a standalone installation, it's used for setting up the configuration of the chemistry of the house batteries that you don't need to plug in the configuration tool and write those settings to the network. And the USB port again is for firmware updates to the BMS, or actually any C-Zone module on the network. You can, with the BMS, or sorry, the Smart Battery Hub, you can update any C-Zone network, any C-Zone module on the network by having that firmware update on the USB, putting it into this USB port, and that'll update the C-Zone modules on the network and read-write configurations. So safety lockouts, the dip switch on the dip switch on the left. So the boat builder can set these dip switches when it leaves his factory and he knows that he doesn't want to turn on the emergency parallels or the volt sensitive switches. He can configure these dip switches to lock those circuits out, so that if anybody in the field was to make any changes to the configuration and start turning the switches on that he didn't want to happen, they would need to open up this fuse cover and actually set these dip switches. So the boat builder has confidence that how it leaves his shop is how he's configured it to happen. Dip switch number, or the switch number 8 on dip switch 1, you need to turn on if it's going to be a C-Zone, it's going to be installed in a C-Zone network. That'll tell the Smart Battery Hub that it needs to go and look at the other devices on the CAN bus for kind of instructions and functionality on how to work and commands. So the default configuration, so when the Smart Battery Hub is used in standalone configuration, you can configure the battery type by the dip switch number 2. So you don't need to use the C-Zone configuration tool to do this. You can, in the C-Zone config tool, set up the all of the metering, monitoring, battery type and capacity. However, for people that don't want to do that and it's just going to be used in standalone, and they still want to transmit that information onto the NEMA 2000 bus for integration with MFDs, you can simply set those that dip switch 2 to those settings. So the first 3 switches on that dip switch is the battery type, and then the remaining 5 switches is the capacity of that. So for example, if you wanted to have a 800 amp hour battery, you would set all of the dip switch 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to on, giving you that 11111 dip switch number. So third-party integration, we have native integration, so the Smart Battery Hub can integrate natively with MFD manufacturers as a normal C-Zone device would. Examples of native integration is with Navico, Garmin, Furuno and Raymarine. Also, switchbank PGN over NEMA 2000. You can use NEMA 2000 switchbank control messages as supported by the Smart Battery Hub. So this means you can configure the Smart Battery Hub to be controlled by third-party controllers utilising standard NEMA 2000 messages. So examples of integration partners using those messages is HMI keypads, iSOTA steering wheels, Sentinel telematics company, and Siren Marine. And the standard monitoring messages that we output, so 0 to 5 volts, 10 to 180 ohms, it's actually 0 to 32 volts, sorry, 10 to 180 ohms, 240 to 33 ohms, 4 to 20 milliamps, and positive or negative switching. So example of the standard NEMA 2000 messages we can output from this device is the state of charge, battery voltage, battery current, fluid levels, actual temperatures, pressures, and the other temperature extended range. So you can configure the temp sensor for, or an additional temperature sensor for room temperature, air temperature, water temperature, any other temperatures you want to monitor on the vessel. NEMA 2000 data switching. So as the Smart Battery Hub can work on the C-Zone network, we can also respond to NEMA 2000 messages on the canvas and react to that accordingly. So this can be used to switch on or off the switches on the Smart Battery Hub itself, or it can be used to switch other modules on the C-Zone network. So the Smart Battery Hub could monitor the battery voltage. If that starts getting low, it could start implementing load shedding and start turning off other loads on the C-Zone network. So the NEMA 2000 supported PGNs for data switching is in that list there. When we can switch on AC status input, fluid levels, DC status, engine parameters, like I said earlier, I think about monitoring the engine RPM on the CAN network. And if you see engine RPM, you can not have the battery switches turn off so that you don't introduce a load dump to the alternators on the engines. Temperatures, pressures, and water depth, all of the NEMA 2000 PGNs that C-Zone supports. So the specifications, the weight is 8.4 kgs, so it's similar to our inverter charger. The power consumption maximum that it will draw is 92 milliamps. When it's in sleep, it draws less than the 4 milliamps. It monitors the current draw on the house system. If it sees current, it wakes up and starts calculating the state of charge. As soon as that current goes away for a set period of time, it'll go back into its hibernation state and then momentarily wake up and have a look at that house draw, make sure that there's no current being drawn so that it continuously updates the state of charge correctly. Warranty period is 5 years as it's a trusted quality BEP product. Operating temperature range minus 15 to 55 degrees Celsius. What else do we have on here? The continuous rating current is 300 amps continuous with an intermittent rating of 700 and a crank rating of 1450. And the additional inputs, as we said, is it has 3 master switch inputs, 2 analog inputs, and 1 battery temperature sensor that we can supply. So part numbers for the BEP Twin is 80-716-0030. For the triple, 80-716-0031. And that's the temperature sensor that we've developed for this product. It has a 15 meter cable, IPX7 rated 2-pin connector, and that is 80-716-0032. Pin-out connectors, all of the connections to the product for the command, control, temperature sensors, and the 10 amp fusing is out of a 12-pin standard Deutsch connector. The Smart Battery Hub will be available for shipping in late Q1 in 2020, so we're aiming for 2021.
Well, thank you, Jeffrey. That was a pretty exciting presentation. You were presenting all the way from Auckland, New Zealand, with a time difference of 12 hours. I think it was a very long day for you. Are you still energetic enough to respond?
That's good to hear, Jeffrey, because a lot of questions came in during your presentation. I understand that your colleague Mark Harnett will join us as an expert. Hello, Mark. Welcome in our live show. All the way from New Zealand, we have our best experts to join us.
Yeah, I'm not super expert on Smart Battery Hub, but I can answer any other questions for BEP, and Jeff has spent a lot of time and effort over the last couple of years developing this product, and nobody knows it like him. So maybe I can help, but it's going to be mostly Jeff, I think.
Well, our in-house moderators have made a fine selection of all incoming questions. And Martin van Bakken will join us, and he will be here to support you from Amsterdam.
Hello, Mark, Jeffrey, nice to see you again. And hello, everybody on the side of the camera.
Hello, Martin.
Hello.
Was it an easy selection? Or do you have some tricky questions for Mark and Jeffrey?
We had a lot of questions, and but I'm sure it's going to be a walk in the park for these guys. So, yeah, it's going to be fine.
That sounds easy.
Not easy. However, I know these guys are experts, so.
Good, so let's start with the first question.
Yeah, we will do. Oh, is BBQ Friday also applicable for BEP? So guys, I'm going to answer this question because that's regarding a campaign that's pending. Yes, BBQ Friday is also applicable for BEP. It's for every brand you can find in the price list. For the people who don't know what PBQ is, that's price break quantity. You can find it in the price list. If you order this quantity, you will receive a 5% extra discount. And on the PBQ Friday, 27th of November, the PBQ quantity will be halved. Next question. What's the list price going to be?
It's going to be very similar to what the products it actually replaces. So the pricing will be available probably in early January. We're just finalising the final BOM on that. The target OEM price is around $11.99 as a US dollar mark. So it's very comparable to replacing the products that you would usually install. So I'll get that pricing out to your regional sales managers over the next couple of weeks, and they'll get that out to everybody.
Super. Okay. Are we able to see time remaining on the house battery?
Yes. Yeah. We are. Yeah. All full state of charge monitoring on the on that house bank. Yeah.
Okay. Clear answer. Can this unit replace a Blue Sea safety relay or any other solenoid?
It can replace the Blue Sea's magnetic latching switches, but not the safety relay on the lithium ions. You would still need to keep those. The main difference, or the main reason you wouldn't want to replace one of those with this product, is you can actually lock the switches in the on position with the manual override. So you wouldn't want to have one of those locked on in one of those safety events.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Can I also use a larger house battery on a starter battery output?
Yes. The biggest thing is the way that it joins the engines when it parallels is it parallels the engine to the house bank. So we do actually have one of our large OEMs down in Australia that will be putting it on a twin engine setup with a large house bank. And he's actually going to be using the leftover engine battery as a generator switch battery as well. So the important thing is that it parallels the starting batteries to that house bank. So you can't have mixed voltages or even kind of mixed chemistry. If you've got kind of lead acid batteries, the recommendation I think from Mastervolt is to not parallel those to lithiums. So actually, probably a couple of months after we initially ship these first two SKUs, is we're actually going to bring out a multi-voltage skew that won't parallel the start batteries to the house bank. It'll parallel them together. So that'll actually mean that we'll be able to have split voltages. You'll be able to have, say, 12-volt starts and 24-volt house. And you'll also be able to have lithiums on the house bank and not have any worry about paralleling the starting batteries to that lithium bank. I think it depends on the battery manufacturer. Some manufacturers say that it's okay to parallel the lithium to the lead. So I guess just talk to your local expert and the Mastervolt guys about any paralleling that you might do.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. What will be a typical engine size to use with this product?
So we've targeted this for twin engine and up center consoles and kind of open cruisers. So anything from 175 horsepower up, that would be on a boat kind of big enough to justify remote battery switches. Also any inboard diesel or stern drive applications, it's definitely got enough cranking power to handle those large current draws on the starter motors. It's used the same internal switches as the Blue Sea magnetic latching switches. So anything that you could install those Blue Sea switches on, this would be able to be installed in that application as well.
Okay. Next question. Are step models and mounting templates available for boat builders yet?
Yep, we've got all of those ready. We've got DXF files that we can share to boat builders, and yep, a simplified step model so that it can be imported into the designs. Definitely.
Clear. Is the smart battery hub compatible with the Pro installer products? So this one is for Mark, I think, or not?
I can try and
voice
answer
a little bit,
it,
Mark.
but I
That's
think,
why the question to you.
yeah, okay. I'll try and answer it, but I think Jeff will probably jump on it anyway. I think it is because we've made the stud height the same height as the mounting height of the Pro installer battery switches, so it's very compatible, as I understand.
He is an expert.
Hey.
There you go.
Hey,
I'm useful for something.
no, that's a good thing, huh?
Yeah.
Is the smart battery hub still IPX7 without the cover installed?
Yep, absolutely. It's IPX7 without the cover installed, and as long as the fuse cover is connected onto it, it's IPX7 and ignition protected. So we've actually added a warning to the fuse cover stating that it's only ignition protected with that installed. And because of that, we've got a tether on that fuse cover. So if even anybody does undo it, they're not going to lose it down to the bilge. Absolutely.
How much space is required around the smart battery hub when installed to allow access to remove the cover?
Oh, good question. Yeah, we've actually designed it with enough rake on the product that when it's installed, you could actually have it installed hard up against a bulkhead, or if you're putting this on a maybe 4 or 5 engine application center console, if you have 2 of them mounted hard up against each other, you can still open the latches and take that cover off. Yeah, so we've tried to think of all scenarios where it could possibly be installed.
So it's good to thought through. Can you explain the functionality that's available on the NMEI 2000?
Yeah, sure. So on the NMEI 2000, even default out of the box, if you're not a C-Zone dealer and you just kind of plug it in, it'll output all of the start battery voltages and also the house battery state of charge and any current draw. So, for example, if you're connected up to a Simrad or a Ray Marine, you can go through their source selection and add the voltages or add the batteries and a state of charge calculation to their MFD and display that on their MFDs without any additional configuration work. It'll also, I think I mentioned in the discussion, we can control the smart battery hub with switchbank PGN, so that enables us to control it quite easily from third parties that aren't integrated with C-Zone through a standard message called switchbank PGNs. So we just need to configure that in the configuration tool. It's very easy to do. And then you could essentially have a push button on your dashboard that's remote or emergency parallel. So if you do need to parallel the engines for any emergency start situations, you can have that button on the dash to do that.
Clear. Are there any plans for a two-pole smart battery hub?
A two-pole?
Any plans for two-pole?
Not at the moment. We've got twin engine and triple engine. So the twin engine is two starting batteries in one house. It's the same footprint. Yeah, this has been quite the development. We've actually been working on this for over 3 years. As some of you may have realised, we kind of alluded to this at METS last year. So it's been quite the development, but it's been pretty well received already. So if anybody on the call does have any feedback that they would like to see different SKUs or configurations, then absolutely please either reach out directly or through your local Mastervolt dealers or reps that you contact over there and get that feedback back through us. And yeah, if there is enough interest, then we'll absolutely look at things for you.
Okay. Can you dedicate a power supply to be only from domestic battery and not in smart mode? Do I have to repeat the question?
Yeah, I don't quite understand the question.
Can you dedicate a power supply to be only from domestic battery and not in smart mode?
I think what that question is would be asking if you can have it not parallel, not be smart. So yeah, at the moment, all of the start batteries internally, if you were to parallel those, parallel to that house bank, as I said. So I think, no, if I understand the question correctly. However, that additional SKU that we'll be bringing out next year, probably, I would say probably Q2, we would bring out that additional SKU that I talked about. Because we're not going to be paralleling those 3 starting battery switches to the house bank, essentially that house bank switch will be a standalone switch that will just be in and out, and it won't have any of the parallel functionality internally. So yeah, if that hasn't answered your question, then please email through. I think you have a Q&A slot after this that we can log in and answer questions.
Yeah, and if the one who asked the question isn't answered correctly, just reach out to the account manager and he can help you out. Yeah, okay. Does it record house battery history, lowest SOC, high, low voltage, etc.?
It will record any alarms like C-Zone does. If it gets a low, you can configure in it low voltage alarms. So it will record any alarms that you kind of configure. So you can have a high or low voltage threshold. So it will. I'm sorry, no, only C-Zone displays do that. So no, it won't record that. It will trigger alarms if you have those, and if you have a C-Zone display, that will record and log any alarms. Now we have made this quite powerful, so that could be something in the future that we could add into a software release. Is actually some data logging. So yeah, again, thanks for the feedback, and we'll consider that for future software updates. And again, reach out to us if you think that's going to be valuable. I'm sure it is.
Yeah. Okay. Does it work in combination of lithium-ion house battery and standard stator batteries? So that's a little bit of the same question before. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Again, I'm sorry, I'm not the lithium expert, so you'd need to talk to I guess your Mastervolt rep about if lithiums can be paralleled to the standard battery type. Yeah. But internally, there's nothing stopping the smart battery hub in doing that. It comes down to the battery manufacturer's recommendations.
Yeah. So for the combination, just reach out to your account manager, and we're going to find out it for you.
Absolutely.
That's the final question, guys. Thank you.
Great, good questions. Thanks for them.
Thank you, Geoffrey and Mark, for your participation and update on the latest products. We really appreciate it. especially if you take into account the late hour. I believe it's almost Thursday at your end. So well done, guys, and have a good night. We hope to see you in person next year in Amsterdam.
And we hope to be back, so we'll see you then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hopefully see you next
Thanks,
year. Thanks for
guys.
having us.
Thank you.
And thank you,
Thanks a lot.
Martin, for your support to our colleagues in New Zealand. If your question isn't answered yet, don't worry. We will make sure that at the end of this day, all questions and answers will be placed on the Masterful portal. But there is still one remaining question, so let's go to...
Brain Trainer. What is the fast-moving BEP product in EMEA and how many items were sold last year? Also this time we got a few reactions and I named them: ultrasonic tank sender, bus bar, system monitor, but only one answer can be correct. And Marianne, don't keep us in suspense much longer.
Well, Diane, you know I have the right name of the winner here on my card. But I'm going to build up the tension a little bit longer, and I will tell you after the break. And the question was, what is the fast-moving product of BEP within EMEA?
I don't think this is a surprise, Marianne. It's the 701 battery switch, of which we sold more than 11,000 items last year.
Indeed, that doesn't surprise me, so it was a good idea to set an extra question. And the one who was closest to the right answer was our Turkish distributor, Erkman Osar.
Congratulations, Erkman. You won a digital Mets Connect Me surprise. Check your inbox and be surprised. Thank you for participating, and this afternoon we have the final round of Brain Trainer.
At 2 o'clock we will be back with our final and last session of Mets Connect Me. Masterful technical highlights, and I can promise you, you don't want to miss this.
Emily Ultra, Combi Master, Charge Master Plus, ChargeMate Pro and Mac Plus. These are the most popular Masterful products at the moment. In this session, we'll show you how our core products interact with each other, illustrated by application examples.
For now, thank you for watching, connecting and interacting with us. Stay safe, stay healthy and stay tuned with Mets Connect Me.